Alrighty, there I am, 30 meters below the surface, and I'm about to run out of air. This thing is basically virtually empty. I'm stuck underneath a giant rock, and it's virtually the last few breaths of air, when suddenly this thing clicked in my head. It's like, I don't know if you've ever experienced this thing, it's like suddenly there's a complete calm in your head. And that's exactly, so there's a boom, this thing happened. Anyway, the reason I'm shooting this video is because I want to talk to you about the survey results. So thank you very much for taking the survey. And we've got some really cool results. Interesting. Some of them as expected, some of them totally unexpected. And I'm not going to do some magic and magic up some pens. Come on, I've got a trusty little helper here. Pens, pens, come on, trusty little helper. Pens. Oh yes, brilliant. My son Finn has helped me. Hey there. Alrighty. So, thanks again for taking the survey. It was all about what kind of material, what kind of teaching would help you the most, and particularly what kind of subjects would help you the most. Where do you think are the biggest obstacles? And I'm going to give you a little summary here because it was quite surprising. If you remember, the survey was fairly free-flowing. Okay, it was a question: what is the one thing that would help you most? Because most people these days will go, for 2013, this is what I'm going to do, and I give you like this list of suggestions. Hey, CPA marketing, AdSense, etc., etc. I kind of left it free for you to decide. And the interesting thing is there was basically 3 categories that came in. So number 1 category was conversion. Conversion. And I now need to check whether that's still on the screen. My trusty little helper is going to give me a thumb up.
No,
Is it good? Is it on the screen? No, it's not on the screen. Terrible, terrible, terrible. So let's do it. Conv dot, and that stands for conversion. Alrighty? So conversion, the questions that came in, and I'm summarizing now, of course, were along the lines, I'm doing what everyone else is doing. I'm taking these courses I'm buying, etc. I'm implementing step by step. But as a result, I'm basically promoting what everyone else is promoting. I'm taking exactly the same approach. So I've got tons of visitors to my website, but no one is buying. Literally, no one is buying. Other people were saying, I finally did all the SEO. I'm finally on page 1. I'm at the top of page 1. I've got all these visitors. No one is buying. How can I get people to convert? That was the underlying principle of this, or the underlying question. How do I set up something where I can actually convert people into buying customers? Because ultimately, that's what it's all about, isn't it? I mean, ultimately, what it's all about is taking my little man here and playing football outside. That's what we're going to do in a minute. But really, when you're doing online, it's not about getting tons of traffic. It's not about being at the top of the ranking. It's not about high click-through rates. It's not about having all these big numbers that everyone keeps telling you about. All that matters at the end of the day is basically how many people get converted into buying customers, and ideally repeat customers. So that was number 1. Number 2, and I'm hoping my whiteboard ends round about there, was definitely not with this pen. Number 2 was all about how do I set this thing up back to from beginning to end. How do I, and the kind of questions that came in is like, how can I build a system that I can repeatedly implement? A lot of people basically came in and said, I've got this one thing, I implemented it step by step, there it is, it's sitting beautifully, people come to it. I did exactly the same thing again and just had a different keyword and nothing. Or other people go, like I did SEO on this one particular keyword and my site is on page 1 and I built exactly the same thing, slightly different, just same process but slightly different keyword, not to be found anywhere on page 1, etc., etc. So how do I build a system back to front or beginning, step by step? What are the steps? What do I actually need to do? So this was kind of the step by step building a system where ideally you remove yourself from the whole thing and there it is. And the last one, let me see what color we can magically pull out that's actually going to work, it was basically focus, overwhelm. About 1/3 of people, and this is like 30, 30, 30, and there was 10% of mixed questions, with some more SEO questions, that kind of thing. But really, the key questions were these here: conversion, step by step, and the last one was focus. How can I focus on the one thing? if you think about it, what we've got here is this. 1/3 is basically marketing mindset. And when I say marketing mindset, it's basically, really when you think about it, it's direct marketing, sales psychology, selling stuff. If you've got a good offer and you've got the right target audience that comes in, that's all about direct marketing. So this is marketing mindset. And this one down here, the 2/3, is entrepreneurial mindset. Because when you think about it, most people who come into internet marketing don't have a background in direct selling or direct marketing. They don't have a background in running a business. It's usually people who are either retired after a corporate career or they're still in a corporate career, that kind of thing. They have no prior experience in running a business, managing a business, etc., etc. So this is all about kind of self-motivation, but working efficiently, working effectively, building sales funnels, building lead gen systems, building or managing a business, all that kind of thing. So really, this is marketing mindset and entrepreneurial mindset. Now, all in all, this makes me extremely happy. It makes me extremely happy, and really, it's kind of jumping up and down because you are clearly listening to what I'm saying, alrighty? In my emails, I keep saying over and over again, it's not about having Patreon rankings. It's not about this whole viral poo going on and on Facebook. Yay, click, 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 click. Who cares if you've got 1 million likes? If no one buys your stuff, it's not going to change anything, all right? It's good for the ego. Hey, I've got 1 million likes, but bank account with lots of money in it is much better. So kudos for listening and basically telling me exactly that you are listening and that you want help with this. So what I'm going to do now is do some magic wiping and give you some tips on how to make this happen in practice. Now clearly in 2013 I'm going to have to invest in a better, higher quality wiper or use the color black less. When you look at the material that's being taught in the market at the moment, there is one common underlying theme. And that is all to do with this. Alrighty? There's method to this madness. Why did I have my dive gear on? And why was I stuck at 30 meters below the surface? Basically when this was is pretty much the same time of year. It was in December of 1996 on the Côte d'Azur, where I lived at the time. And if you've ever been diving in the Mediterranean, it's extremely boring, right? It's basically nothing for about 30 meters and then you hit sand and that's it, and a few rocks. So diving down there is not like, Britain, Rex, etc. It's not like diving on Goa where we've got plenty of fish all over the place. This is just like water, 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 sand and a few rocks. That's it. Okay, cool. So we go down, we hit the sand and we go, oh, what are we going to do now? So I saw this little thing, which was a couple of rocks, a little bit piled up like this. And me having, the faulty gene, being a man, thought, no problem, I can fit through there. I can dive through there. My buddies on the other end are waving at me, yay, come on, let's go through it, let's have some fun here. So I went in there. And, the whole 3D things, like I'm not flat as a paper. Of course, I got stuck in there. And what I did is, okay, I'm stuck. I just fin harder. Fin, push myself through. And all that happened was basically I wedged myself in. The more I was pushing, the more I was basically getting into this thing and was like completely stuck until I kind of took a step back and basically calmed down my brain and went, all right, this is not going the right way, because I literally was pumping through air like mad. I was going to get into the point where I was going to have to do a Polaris ascent. And that is exactly what is happening with all these courses out there. Alrighty? So this is the bit you can take straight away and look at what you're doing at the moment and maybe change something. So let me show you how this is happening in practice. You have a website, and I have tons of people who come to me and say, look, I've got this website, I've got tons of visitors, what do I need to change on my website? And literally my inbox is full of these kind of things. It's all about conversions. How do I get people to convert? And then I go, should I change the headline? Should I change the font? Should I change the buy button? Should I change all this kind of stuff? And basically all that is doing, it's basically looking at the surface. Now let's use the water analogy. on the surface, like if I can change a little tweaky thing here, then suddenly everything's going to work. And that is what's being taught, okay? Hey, you do this, and then you change the one headline, you change the font, you change the layout, you change all these kind of things, and then all this is going to happen. Truth is, if you don't start from bottom up, designing your conversion funnels, and literally design them, then you're never going to have the perfect conversion, right? The conversion that actually makes money. A lot of the stuff that's being taught, all these kind of people who go, I made X thousand dollars last month with Amazon sites and Kindle books, etc., etc. Honestly, that's flukes, and that is fast on the way out. And I've got a presentation where I'm going to show you why that is fast on the way out. If you've been on my list, you know why it's on the way out. You need to design a sales funnel, anything that has to do with conversions, from the bottom up. Okay, you start with what people really, really, really want, and then you look at the language they're really, really, really using, and then you put an offer in front of them that answers their questions, that solves their problems. Alrighty? That is how you define or design any web property that makes money. Anything that focuses on the surface, that goes, I'm going to tweak this and tweaking this, it's completely ignoring all of this. Look, the truth is, you can basically make almost any traffic form profitable. And lots of people go, well, there's a cheap traffic on whatever, PPV, or you get cheap traffic from mobile phones, etc. And then a lot of people, if you look at the forums, they go, it didn't work for me. Well, reality is, the mindset of someone who's downloading free games to the computer and they're just sitting there bored out of their heads, and then you pop up some ads, is very, very different from someone who's specifically searching for something. And that is exactly what's happening here. If you are putting a generic offer in front of 3 different types of traffic, one like being freebie seekers who are very, very bored, one very targeted to searchers, and whatever another one, video, someone who's browsing on YouTube, you put one offer in front of them, you can tweak and test till the cows come home. It's not going to make any difference, alrighty? You have to design this from the bottom up. So that's the first thing. The same, God, definitely time for a new wiper. The same applies to the, this is how I set up a business, the entrepreneurial mindset. I'm unfocused, I'm stuck, I buy shiny objects, but all these kind of things coming in. And all that's happening is people are pushing in to this funnel harder and harder and harder. There's the money at the end, and for some reason you don't quite get through this thing. And what do? You buy another course, you push harder. Something doesn't work, well, clearly it was my fault. I need to push harder. I'm unfocused. Well, if only I could focus harder. That's all pushing in this direction, okay? There are very good reasons why people lack the focus. And like the gurus, like the big gurus, Dan Kennedy, etc., almost condescendingly go, well, you clearly didn't have it, you don't have it, you don't have the focus, you don't have the desire, you don't have the motivation. All total and utter, I'm going to write this down here because my son is only 10 years old and he's not allowed to see this, okay? There you go, that's the one. Total and utter, bad thing. He's looking at me and scratching his forehead, wondering what I just wrote down there. Right? Why is that? Because lack of progress is due to this model, people teaching you the wrong thing. They just keep telling you, you need to push harder, you need to use a different model, clearly you use the wrong model, etc., etc. And by the way, there's a very good reason why all this cookie cutter, can cover your ears for a second, crap, doesn't work. Alrighty? All this cookie cutter stuff where people say, do this step, then this, and this, and this. In practice doesn't work. And there's a very good reason, actually there are 2 reasons why that doesn't work. Alrighty? And it's all pushing in this kind of thing. You have to basically take a step back and go around it. And that's exactly what you said in the survey responses. 45% of people wanted to have this kind of teaching, interactive, where you actually see something happening. And 60% wanted some kind of coaching. Already, very few people said, hey, I want more step-by-step stuff. The vast majority of people wanted some kind of coaching, which once again makes me happy because it shows that you've finally realized, well, this sounds a bit terrible, but you do realize that the way forward is to have someone who look over the shoulder and show you the stuff you're not seeing, okay? Who knows the stuff you don't know, you don't even know. That's the key essence of this. So anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put on a training for you in about a week. In about a week. When you see this, the day before the presentation, it's not a week, it's about a day. I'm going to put on a presentation where I cover how to set up a business from A to Z, like foundation level, from this perspective. So you can avoid overwhelm, you can avoid lack of focus, you can start thinking about setting up a sales funnel in the right way, you can start thinking about conversions, at least at a fundamental level, at least targeting the right traffic sources, so you have a good offer that matches these. Plus, I'm going to show you what I mentioned earlier, this one thing, and out comes the trusty orange pen. In the old days, like I just mentioned earlier, the people who basically went in and made tons of money with AdSense, who made tons of money with Google AdWords, a couple of years ago, it was super easy, super cheap, etc. They were shooting at a ball, at this giant bowl. You somehow get your ball in here and boom, bullseye, you've got some money. These days, and we're talking end of 2012, beginning of 2013, there are 3 specific market forces that are all converging on one point. And what they're doing is they're reshaping this little ball into something that's a bit like this. Okay? If you want to make money, if you want to hit the ball in there, this is like, previously it was like a giant football goal. Football, I'm talking about European soccer here, big goal. And the football, you have to hit it in there. Now we're talking about golf. These are the proportions. Going from a football goal, how wide is a football goal? It's terrible. He's a football nut, doesn't know how big a goal is. Let's say 7 meters, okay, it's big. You go from 7 meters to whatever, 2 inches. It is that dramatic, and I'm going to show you exactly why that is happening, what is happening, how that's affecting everything that's being taught, how that's making all this cookie cutter crap even worse, and why you definitely must not follow it, what you need to do instead. Anyway, that is the free training coming up in about a week, and then those who are interested in conversion. I'm putting on a very specific conversion type training, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it online. Where I'm going to put it, let's call it Conversion Bootcamp. I didn't make that up, I just need to remind myself. It's at www.onlinerule.com/conversion-or-bootcamp. Okay, conversion bootcamp. I'll make it easier. I'll make a shortcut. onlinerule.com/CB. Alrighty. In there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically look at the responses you got there. There was, for example, questions like, everyone talks about testing and tweaking. Okay. You've been on my list for a while, you know how important it is to test everything you're doing because you just don't know the answer. But the problem is, in practice, no one really shows you. We're going to do that in the Conversion Bootcamp. So the idea of the Conversion Bootcamp is this. We're going to have one training where we look at the fundamentals. And when I say fundamentals, it's this stuff. Okay? How do I pick a traffic source which will ultimately convert? It's getting away from this superficial fixing something here, that's like complete stabbing in the dark. We're going to set this up from the beginning, from the basics, to design conversion from the beginning, to design a sales funnel which is designed for conversion. Then we're going to have a second session where we look at the mechanics of testing and optimizing. Alrighty? Then we're going to have a third session where we do a live interactive let's call it a case study, alrighty? The one thing that's come through in the responses over and over again is this. People hate cookie cutter courses because there's no follow-up. You get this thing and now you're left on your own, alright? So we're going to have a third session where we're going to go in and basically keep the momentum going. I'll show you how to take it to the next level. We're going to go through everything you've done. We look at it, we do case study, you get my feedback, and then I'll give you hints and tips on how to take it to the next level. So that way, we combine sort of the coaching type thing with the content type thing. Alrighty, cool. So that you can find at www.onlinerule.com/CB, which I'm going to set up now. And otherwise, there's a link down below for the training, the general setup, how to set up a business in 2013. That's going to be a training. I don't think I'm going to be recording it. I really want this to be a live thing, so I'm doing it on a Saturday. So keep the Saturday free. Make sure you're on this call, and I hope to see you on the call. Alrighty, cheers.